Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Wieland, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Wieland Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Well, hello again, everybody. I'm Jeff Wieland here on the WB Download. Today is Tuesday, August the 26th, 2025, and I'm fired up to be here with you today, just talking about, this and that. Our guest today is somebody who I did not know this existed, but we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be pretty neat. I think you're going to enjoy it. Her name is Danielle Boerger, and she is from a company called Simplify in Style, and her whole job is to organize people's spaces as they move in. They organized kitchens. They organize every room in the house. They organize just one room. She'll organize everything as you're moving in, or if you already live there, she'll come in and organize your stuff. And it's amazing what she does. So we just worked on a job with them here in the last couple months and saw what they did. And I also did another job down in Indian Hill, and those folks had somebody who they had worked with as an organizer. And I was for one, I'm like, I can't believe people pay somebody to do this. And then I started talking to Shannon about it, and we're like, this is an unbelievable job. It's really cool. And the world needs people like Danielle. Thank you for being here. Thank God. So I'm excited about you guys listening to what she has to say. So, hey, I wanted to give you an update on Peyton's Lemonade Stand. If you remember, we had Peyton on our show, her and her mom, Jess, a couple weeks ago. And Peyton is an entrepreneur that is, what's she, 13 years old now, and has Lemonade Stand. They raised $150,000 this year, up, I think, $25,000 from last year, $150,000 in one day, and they're not selling lemonade. They're giving lemonade away, asking for donations. And the way she got started with that deal, if you'll recall, is she was buying gifts for the kids at Children's Hospital, and she continues to do so. But congratulations, and the world needs more Peytons, just killing it out there. So thank God for you. Hey, last week was Terry Michael Ajewski's birthday here at Wieland Builders. I've known Terry almost all my life, and I'm pretty excited about celebrating his birthday with him. So happy birthday, Terry. During the midst of his birthday, we were we are still working on wrapping up a big old house we got over there in Liberty Township, and we've been working on it for quite a while. It's just so awesome. I mean, it's a really cool project. We were held up on it for about 6 months, thanks to an energy company here in town, which I do not want to mention, trying to get us some juice down there. But it's finally coming up and just wrapping up, and it's really cool. These people are the coolest people. I've enjoyed working with them, so I'm looking forward to seeing them moving in. So we are super busy, around here, mostly due to people who buy lots and they don't understand all the ramifications that come along with their lot. So when we had jobs that were supposed to start back in November, December, we weren't able to start digging on them for a while because we had to work through easements because the developer, who isn't worth a shit, was not able to correctly record the lots. They bought lots without any utilities to them. We've had other ones that the people owned the lot for a while, but it needed some different zoning issues on it. We've had other ones where they had septic issues and we needed to get those approved, or it just take a long time to get the septic approved. And so things all bundled up, and naturally they all get approved at the same time, and then we start digging basements. So we're super busy trying to keep everything staggered and and on track. But that keeps us busy. But we're also busy, Alicia's still killing it. Talking to people about building houses in the next year or two, and we're excited about what the future has for us around here. Just building some really neat houses for some really good people, and I love our customers, and I look forward to working with each one. It's just so much fun. One of the cool things about this business, not only the fact that we get to build the coolest houses in the world, but we get to meet so many really neat people that do some really neat things. And I don't want to talk about all of them. I don't know if they want me to talk about them, but it's just neat to hear the things that people do for a living. And I love it. So at home, man, we're end of the summer. Kids are going back to school, and I think Shannon's probably thinking that things are going to slow down now that they're going back to school because, man, we're so busy all the time. But Cody joined the Warren County judging team, which means he's going to be judging livestock. And so kind of brought back a lot of old memories when I was sitting in a room up there at the extension office, listening to what they had to say. I took a lot of judging classes in college, and I think this is really going to help him. How many dads in this world would say to their 13-year-old son, hey, the way you need to practice for this is to call your girlfriend and talk to her. Do not text her all the abbreviations all the time and not have any conversation with her. You need to start learning how to talk. I know some people are probably just like, Jeff, you're stupid, but that's true. So that's something he's got to do. He's been playing football since the day they got out, and now he's playing fall baseball as well. Raina's been cheering, and she cheers she cheers competition, and she cheers sideline. So sideline is starting up again, and that keeps us busy running all over the place. Back to school time is here. Lebanon started last Thursday. I know a lot of other schools in town here started earlier than that. We had Isaac Sievers on this show, as superintendent of Lebanon schools, about 2 years ago, and he talked briefly about how they set up their schedule. And I think he takes a poll from a lot of the teachers and different people on how that works out and sets it up. But I guess it works for everybody. I'm just glad to see him getting back to school and getting back to work. We are, the kids and I, are shopping for our 4-H projects, steers, our 4-H meat market steers for next year. This is a huge gamble, and it's a huge process, and it keeps me up all night long, mainly because when you buy these things online, you have to go through an online auction, and at the last 2 seconds of the auction, somebody will bid, and the auction starts all over again, and it goes all night long, and it pisses me off and stresses me out. So we are on the road going around to these different farms looking at these things, and I love it. I don't know. I mean, I'm goofy, I know, but I come home and Raina's like, Dad, all I've been thinking about is lot number eight. We got to get this steer. And so she's pretty fired up about it. And Cody's looking at him and judging him and talking about him. Just opens up a whole different kind of conversation for us. And so I'm so interested to see how this turns out. So Cody and I went up, we entered 2 steers into a carcass competition, in its stockyards, up in College Corner, I guess it's called. It's just on the other side of Oxford. And Andy Korb is a guy up there who is just unbelievable at what he does. He's one of the hardest working guys I've ever met. And so we entered him into this competition, and then we went up on last 2 Saturdays ago and did a tour of the factory. They had Dr. Garcia come down from Ohio State University, and she came down and talked to us about the quality grades of meat, how they look at different things, how they measure things, and how they scale and grade the beef that comes out of the factory, which means it goes from CAB to prime to choice to select, and understanding what that taste is, color is, what the marbling looks like on it. So me and Cody walked through this whole thing, and they had all the beef hanging up. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm sure that probably a lot of you are throwing up in your mouth a little bit right now, but for us, it's that's our target. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. And so we got to see we got to see them process an entire side of beef after it's been hanging in a freezer for a couple weeks, and seeing how the different cuts come together. And it was enlightening, and especially when that was his first class of judging. And then we go to the processing plant, listen to Andy and listen to Dr. Garcia talk about all these different things. I guess I get giddy about it. I hope he does too. But it was interesting to see how that comes together. So if you need beef processing, or you need to buy some beef, make sure you check out Andy Korb up at Stockyards in College Corner. I'm hoping, I was thinking about it, I'm hoping to get Andy on here because he's an interesting dude. He's an auctioneer. He's a processor. He's a farmer. His dad was the FFA teacher in Ross, who took over for Mr. Imes, who was my FFA teacher in Ross. A lot of history there. So I'm going to ask Andy if he can take 5 minutes, actually an hour, to come out and do the podcast with us. Cody's birthday is September 5th, 9/5/11. And so we're going to be celebrating that in the coming week here. And as we roll into Labor Day, happy Labor Day, everybody, because that's going to happen in between now and the next podcast. I believe our next podcast will be Mr. Brian Lapthorne's one of our customers. But Brian also has a story, and it's going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be touching, and it's going to be enlightening. And I'm looking forward to that podcast with him. So, hey, everybody, again, I want to make sure that, we're giving a proper introduction to Miss Danielle here and talk about what she does. I don't know. When we were going down through this podcast, I was just like asking her all these different questions because I know what it's like to want to be organized and to be organized. And she does this for a living. So without further ado, this is Danielle Boerger with Simplify in Style. Here she is on the WB Download. All right, everybody. As I said, today our guest is Danielle Boerger. Correct.
That's right.
Danielle Boerger from Simplify in Style. So this is a pretty neat deal that is, I feel like, well, first of all, thank you. Thanks for coming to the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here. This is a new concept to me. I was working on a job last year, and some folks were down there, and they were doing some organizing for the customer, and I got a kick out of it. I'm like, really? You're going to pay these people to do this? And then we did another job, and then we were just recently working with you on a previous job. So I'm interested to hear about this. This is pretty cool. So thanks again. Welcome to the show. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do?
Sure. Yeah.
Tell us about your family.
Absolutely. So I started this business 10 years ago. Been doing this for 10 years. Before that, I was a teacher, and I just, was always helping other teachers get their classrooms organized. That was my favorite part of the year. And I decided, let's see if this is something I can do as a business. And like you, I thought there's no way someone is going to pay me to organize their home and do what I love. And I was wrong. This is something that people need help with. And so, so 10 years ago started, and it was just me. And now I have a team of 15 other organizers that work with me, and we help families all over Cincinnati.
What qualifies you to be an organizer? I mean, how do you, everybody always, every time I'm interviewing somebody, they go, I'm super organized. And then they get here, I'm like, no, you're not.
Yes. Yeah. I think that there's the skill of space planning is super important when you're an organizer. Like I know, like just looking at a space, I can say, oh, let's move this here, move this there, and then this can fit. So there's a little bit of space planning that's just a natural ability. And I am organized in my everyday life, but it also became a thing when I became a parent and 2 kids, and I had to be organized in order to be able to work and raise my kids and do all the things that I wanted to do. I had to find ways to create systems in my home to stay organized, or I felt overwhelmed. So it is something that I just had to figure out naturally on my own, and then now helping other people do it as well. Is
it necessarily like being a neat freak, or is it more so just understanding where things go? I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. But I always wonder, is being organized, is it hereditary, or is it just something that comes natural to people? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something that can be learned. But I do think that there's a difference in kind of the 2 types of different people that we work with are people who are too busy to do it themselves. They know how to organize, but they just don't have the time for it. Or the people just don't know how to get organized. And so when we can come in and create the system, it's easier for somebody to come in and then maintain that system that we've created. But actually creating the system is something that takes a skill that sometimes people just don't have. It's, I think, a life skill that, we learn over time. That's
so like, are you working with interior designers, decorators? Are you working with furniture people, or are you like what is it that I'm just trying to figure out, like, you say, hey, you need something like this unit over here to keep this more organized, or do those people come to you and say, here's the furniture that we have picked out, How do you see this laid out, or is it specific spaces? I mean, kitchens and pantries, or are you doing bedrooms, or are you doing everything?
Yeah. So as far as spaces, we really do any space in the home. We do a lot of the, pretty spaces like closets and kitchens, but we also do a lot of garages and unfinished storage spaces and things like that too. So all kinds of spaces. But then as far as furniture pieces, most of the time we're not selecting the furniture pieces, unless it's like a playroom specifically. We do a lot of furniture selection in there because it's more geared towards storage and not necessarily the aesthetics. So we're working with the interior designers to find systems and products that can be implemented within that furniture to make it functional for the family.
How do people, I guess for one, I just, like I said, I had no idea this existed. And I think it's so cool because I feel like I'm an organized person. My wife, I was telling her about you and she's like, oh my gosh, that would be like the job that she would want because she's super organized. Yes. How do people, I guess probably like anything, it's tough to recognize that you need help. Right. And then it's tough to go find somebody that can help you. How do they find you? And how do they say, man, you're the person for me?
Yeah. So a lot of people find us through word of mouth referrals. We've worked with their friends and things like that. Or people are reaching out because they're realizing, like you said, they know they need help, but they don't know where to start. We always go in with no judgment. Like I will tell people all the time, it is harder for me to organize my own house than it is for me to go in and organize someone else's house. It's not my stuff. So it's easier for me to deal with other people's stuff than it is my own. So there's no judgment at all when we're walking into a home. We're just looking at the home in a different way with fresh eyes, and we can see where there might be spaces that you have opportunity for better organization, better systems, routines. We talk with clients extensively about what their routines are so that we're creating a system that really works for their family.
Is your, everybody always talks about when you own a business, difficult customers.
Yes.
And is your difficult customer somebody who's already super organized and kind of knows what they want? Or are they the person who has just stuff everywhere and it takes a lot longer to get through it? Which one's worse?
That's a good question. I love the clients who are already super organized and want to go to the next level because that's what I like to do in my own home. But I would say that when people are not ready to let go of things, that makes it a little bit harder for us to do our job. We are never going to force people to get rid of things, but I think making sure that what your expectations are, what your end result you want to look like also matches with what you're willing to get rid of. If you have too much stuff, it's not going to be this picture perfect pantry or, whatever the space is. So you just make sure your expectations are aligned with how much inventory you have.
Is that a difficult conversation, the decluttering conversation? We're like, you need to get rid of some of this crap.
Yeah, no, it's actually not. That's really the only part of the process that we try to involve the client in because that is the most overwhelming part of the process. So when we're coming in, we do the editing with them. We don't expect them to edit the space before we come or anything like that. So we are pulling everything out and we're putting into categories and then we bring them in. So in a kitchen, for example, we would have all your coffee mugs together and say, okay, now that you can see your 100 coffee mugs, like how many do you want to keep? And having that conversation, sometimes with kids, things like stuffed animals and things like that, there can be some difficult conversations, but we try to help the client say, okay, a tip for kids is use a basket and say, you can keep however many stuffed animals will fit in this basket. So giving them ways to work with their kids and teach their kids that life skill too. But giving clients parameters of like, okay, we can fit whatever will fit here is an easy way to have that conversation.
What's the most fun room in the house to design?
I love playrooms, kids spaces. I am all about creating spaces for kids that create opportunities for independence for them and teaching them how to organize. I always tell the story. My oldest son, when he was younger, he is kind of like me, a little type A, and he came running out of his room one day and he's like, I don't know what to do with this pair of sunglasses. There's not a bin that says sunglasses. And it's like, creating these systems that are easy enough for even a 4-year-old to put things away is really important. So creating playrooms is my favorite.
That's good. I feel like that when I'm in the kitchen right now with in the dishwasher. Do you teach people how to load a dishwasher? Is there a correct way to load a dishwasher? Let's settle that one.
I would say yes.
There is
a correct way.
Okay. All right.
We do not specifically do that, but we should because there is a correct way. Yes.
That's a common argument in anybody's house. And in fact, in our house, it's not even an argument anymore. We just kind of just put it in there and just watch her go to work. So, so what's the difference between working with an existing house where people have lived there and they call you up and say, hey, I need to get organized. This place is a mess, as opposed to working with someone like what we do is you're working with them leading up to them moving into the new build. What's the big differences?
For sure. There's differences. I would say when you're building a custom home or when you're building a home or moving into a new home, you have the opportunity to really think about where things should go in that home. A lot of times when we're going into these homes where people have lived for 20, 30 years, their things have remained in the same cabinet, the same drawer for 20 or 30 years. And so no one ever really takes every single thing out of their kitchen and reorganizes it. Unless we come in and do it for them. But when you're moving, you have the opportunity to really look at the space from a fresh start and find a place for everything from the beginning versus taking everything out and rethinking the space.
Yeah. I was just thinking about something, but I think about, one of the two questions I was thinking about after you were talking about that. In the house that you just finished, I noticed that you had color coordinated or coded folders and different like dividers and things. Did you supply that or did they have that and then you put it together? How did that work?
Yeah. So with products, typically we're providing those. Sometimes clients, if they already have products, will reuse those if it works for the space. But yes, we're providing products for the client for all the spaces.
And that would be the same as if it was an existing house or a brand new house because you're like, these are things you need to do.
Exactly.
And I guess probably if they're moving into their house, so if we're building a house for people, and I don't know how soon do you want to get involved with them to think about organizing it? I mean, they don't call you a week before they're getting ready to move in and say, hey, can you do this? I mean, are you going over to their existing house and starting to declutter at that point, or are you just taking inventory? How does that work?
So we can and like to get involved as early as possible, even in the elevation review stage, because we can work with clients and look at their cabinet layouts and say, okay, where is your Instapot going to go? Is there enough height in the pantry where you think that's going to go? We literally take inventory of every single thing in their kitchen and then make sure it's going to fit into their home. And that is the great thing about like a custom build is that you have the opportunity to do that. And I think a lot of times people get they're stuck in what it's going to look like, but not necessarily thinking about how it's going to function for their family. We've seen people spend years on building these homes and then they get in there and they're like, oh my goodness, my favorite pot doesn't fit in the drawer that I thought it was going to fit in. And so if we can get involved early, that allows us to really take inventory of everything and really plan the space with you. And then we do help with, if we're not involved that early, we also help with editing before they move. We could do all the packing, hire the movers, get them unpacked and organized in the new home. So we can really help with any part of that process.
That was going to be one of my questions is how much stress reduction do you provide? I mean, I think that's probably a big point because moving sucks. And I tell people that all the time, when we're leading up to the end of the project, they're probably a little bit fed up because the project's been going on a long time. Right. They're excited to get moved in, but they're also ready for the process to be over. They're scheduling the move for their existing house. They're scheduling movers. Movers probably take a little bit longer than what they thought. Yes. And, things are not going exactly the smooth as they thought it were going to be. And then they're moving into their new house. And with somebody like you've assisted them and moving into that point probably reduces a lot of stress, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, move, like you said, in any case, moving is going to be stressful. And we are trying to make it as least stressful as we can. And so by editing and intentionally packing things, a lot of times when you're moving, some of the spaces in your current home do not exactly line up with what the spaces are going to be in your new home. And so we're making sure that we're packing for where it's going in the new home versus how it was in the old home. Movers aren't thinking about that. And so when you get on to the other side and you're trying to unpack, you have boxes that were once on a third floor playroom that now are supposed to go in the basement. And now you are left moving those boxes down. And so when we're packing, we're doing it really intentionally so that we're making sure that the unpacking part is as easy as possible so that you can save the time and the stress there on that side of it.
How many text messages did you get in after people move in and they're like, where'd you put this?
Yes, we get a lot of those. We are very, very, very intentional about taking pictures of all the spaces so we can send them a picture and say, it's in this drawer to the left of the stove. Great. And then they know where it is. Yeah.
What about in unfinished spaces of the basement? That is somewhere where it has a tendency to, I keep thinking about all these questions I have to ask you. I need to know this stuff. In the unfinished portion of the basement, that has a tendency to get where things get that get put, so to speak. And I'm holding up my quotations. Yep. How do you organize that?
We do. That's probably one of the most common spaces we do because it's the space that no one wants to do on their own.
Yeah.
And it can be the most overwhelming space because it is all of those decisions that you put off for later that now you have to focus on. So we do a lot of unfinished storage spaces, and then garages are another big one. I think that's probably one of the spaces that I would say is the top priority space that I think people forget about and they should do first, because you are probably in your garage every single day.
Yeah.
If you're parking in there, you're walking through it and you're seeing that mess every single day. And so if you set that up and create systems in there from the beginning, you don't have that stress, because everybody, I mean, we all have the mental clutter in our head of when we see a space, and so if we can make sure that we're walking through an organized space every single day when we're leaving the house and coming back into the house, it just sets your mood up better for the day. So,
do you believe in junk drawers?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I think you should have a junk drawer. However, what is in that junk drawer should make sense.
Well, that's why it's a junk drawer.
Yes, it is.
Everything's in there.
I don't love the name, but I do think that there should be a space in your kitchen of things that you grab quickly. If you have a hammer in there, I'm going to question how often are you actually using the hammer? You might, but most homeowners are not using a hammer frequently enough that it should be in their kitchen drawer.
I mean, I feel like it should have chewing gum, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver.
Agree.
I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a calculator, some old glasses, a Bible, and
a few little things. But if you have random things, then that needs to be cleared out once a month or so.
Have you ever organized somebody's toolbox in their garage?
Yes, we do garages all the time.
I mean, in the toolbox though. I mean, that's where it drives me crazy.
Yes,
because I accumulate. And then I don't realize that I need more, I just in your socket sets, in your screwdriver. I mean, it's painful.
Yes.
And that was one of the things I brought, because it's just like silverware. You need to make sure it's got its place.
Right.
Can you walk us through? So you just worked with one of our customers, and just awesome people. I mean, they're just so nice. And can you walk us through, how did that start? What was your process with them, and how did it finish up? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always start with a consultation, and we walk through, hopefully we can walk through the current home and the new home if they have access to both, because that allows us to see their inventory and what they're moving into. And so we did the consultation, and then we're able to present different options for how they can work with us. So, do you want us to pack everything, hire the movers, unpack everything? And then do you want to focus on just your priority spaces? And so for this client, we ended up deciding to focus on a few priority spaces first. And so we then, once we decided on what those spaces were for her, which we have recommendations for that. And then, of course, we also talk with the clients about what their priority spaces are. And for this client, it was the mudroom, the kitchen and pantry, the garage. They had a bonus space upstairs that they wanted to turn into like a homework library area, and the kids' playroom. And so those were the main spaces we were focusing on. So before we even did the move-in, we start product sourcing. We start communicating with the client about what baskets do they like, what is the look that they want in the pantry. Of course, this client was very organized and had a great Pinterest board already of things that she loved. Nice. And so that was nice to see her inspiration, and then we could build off of that. So we send over some mood boards and we do some product selection. And then, like I said, we do all of the shopping for all of that. We figure out what their budget is for that, and then we come the first day and we get started. And so we were unpacking everything, and then, figuring out, like, there in this home, it was a little bit different the way that the bar and the kitchen, and they had like a little kind of bar area up in the dining kitchen area. And so figuring out what went downstairs in the bar, what went upstairs, and things like that. So we got everything unpacked and implemented the product, and then creating systems. So labels in the pantry, a system for where papers are going to go when they come home from school with kids in the mudroom, and then showing that system to the clients so that they can maintain it after we leave. My favorite part of this project, too, was the library and homework area, because we got to really design that, too. So we talked with her about, she wanted 3 desks. And so we were able to pick out a desk area, bring in someone to install all of that, and set up an area for the kids. And then the next week they started school and they were able to start using that space right away. So.
Rolled right into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was really neat. I was looking at all the things, because they're super busy people.
Yes.
They both are executives. They both work work really hard. They both work from home, and which means that, you know, you better be super organized when it comes down to it. So I'm just I don't know. I'm just amazed by what you do. I think about what's your inspiration? Like, you know, people think about building a house, and they go to Houzz, or they go to other builders' websites, or they go to our hopefully they're coming to our website.
Yeah.
What's the inspiration that where do you get the majority of the customers' inspirations to bring to you, and they say, hey, I've seen this. What is it? Magazine pictures? Is it Pinterest? Is it what is it?
Pinterest, Instagram. You know, a lot of times people will find different things, photos or videos on Instagram, or specific products, or even just the look of a space. And we're always also trying to match the look of the basket with the style of their home too. So it matches with the rest of their decor. So we try to be really intentional with the products that we pick, and then also involving the clients in that product selection process too. And we have kind of what we have, like we call like a little quiz, inspiration quiz, where we can kind of pull that information from them if they don't already have pictures and things like that.
What's the most common misconception or mistake that people make when it comes to looking at this organizational stuff?
Good question. I think when people are moving, I think that they're focusing a lot on the looks and not the function, based on their inventory. Like I said, we see a lot of times when people are building homes and they're years into it, and then we go to move them in, and they haven't thought about the way they actually do the laundry, or the way they bring in kids' school papers, or things like that. So, being really thoughtful about how their family uses the space, and then thinking ahead to what does 5 years down the road look like, and things like that, is something I think that people don't always think about.
So how do you look at, because I run into this a lot with what we do, because these houses are so big, and it takes so long to plan for them. It takes so long to build them. How do you look at a job, and you're starting to talk to some people, and you say, okay, you're in the beginning stages of building this house, because, you know, you want to make sure that you're involved in the storage aspect of it, organizational aspect of it. You could be working with these people for 16 months, 18 months.
Yes.
And so do you do like hourly, or do you do fixed price on a job, or do you look at it and say this job's going to be this much, or do you say, hey, I'll consult for this much? I mean, how does all that I'm just, sure. I don't know. I don't want to get too private with you about how you charge for things, but I'm just mesmerized by everything that we do.
Absolutely. So as far as the actual organizing, unpacking, that side of it is all hourly. So when we do our consultation, we give them an estimated range of what we think, how many hours we think the project will take. And then we also give an estimated budget for products as well. So they're looking at the all-in price for us to do the organizing of those spaces. When we're doing consulting for, reviewing their elevation plans, or looking at the cabinets, talking about closets, that's a big one. That is just on an hourly basis. I would say a custom home that you're doing, the size is probably about 10 hours of consulting time over the course of, 16 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it may be, where we're just kind of coming in at different points and looking at, okay, let's look at the cabinets. Now let's talk about the closets. And also before that, taking, like I said, inventory of all their things, like going into their closet and measuring how much short hanging space do you have? How much long hanging? How many pairs of shoes do you have? So that we're making sure that their things actually fit into the closet. Yeah,
that's I was going to ask you about cabinetry, but closets seem to be more down your aisle. So I was talking to Leah from California Closets, and she's like, hey, because I'm sending her plans like when we're ready to start pricing things out.
Yes.
And she goes, man, I'd really like to be involved earlier.
Right.
Like let's get in here, because she can look at something and say, hey, you might need another foot in that closet.
Yes.
You might need another 2 foot here. You might need, and that insight is valuable. And I think that with somebody like you, an expert, and somebody like her that's an expert, somebody who has the customer's best interest in mind,
right,
they won't look at that and go, oh, they're trying to get more of their product in there. They're trying to get more. They're looking at it going, man, that was really helpful.
Yes.
That has to be key for you to, especially for closet space, but also for pantry space and for cabinetry. I mean, in that design aspect of it, what was your experience? I mean, did you just learn that, pick that up along the way, or because you got to be able to read plans and everything?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years now, so I've seen a lot of homes, and I've seen a lot of mistakes in homes. I've heard a lot of people's complaints about things they don't like in their homes. And so it gives us a list of things to think about and things to ask the client about when we're going into this building process. And just asking the questions about, how do you do your laundry? how many different categories do you sort your clothes into? Do you need room for 4 laundry baskets or 1 laundry basket? Thinking through all of those things that when you're building a home, you are decision overload. Like those are the last things you want to think about. So when we're coming in and with this very specific list of questions that we can ask and find out, okay, so if you say this, then we know we need this. That helps us just to be really intentional about how to design those spaces. And then we can give that information to the designer, to cabinet designer, things like that, so that they're designing it around what the client actually needs.
Yeah. I just think about, because we both are in the same business. I mean, you have custom, you're custom everything. So, which means that you're not just building something standard and putting it somewhere. You're customizing everything with the customer, right. And that's what we do. So I just did a podcast a couple months ago about the worst customers in the world. Mm-hmm. And I have friends of mine who have boat dealerships, tractor dealerships, car dealerships. I have friends of mine who have a bunch of other businesses, and we all talked about it. And one of the biggest issues is miscommunication or no communication. That's probably one of the worst things that happens with the. Yep. Some people are just evil, and you get that as a business owner. Sure. I hate to say that, but so what makes your worst customer ever? I mean, is it somebody who's indecisive, somebody who's just evil? So what's the worst customer that could happen to you?
That's a good question. I don't know that I've had a worst customer, which is good.
That's good.
I think that, communication is huge for us. So we try to over communicate and make sure that everyone has the same goals, and that we're aligned on that. I would say that if sometimes it takes trusting us and knowing that like you've hired an expert for this. And so we have really thought about it, and we have seen a lot of homes. And so we have an opinion that we at least want you to try and see if it works for you and your family. I think if someone comes in knowing exactly what they think they want, sometimes that doesn't always work out. And so but again, I think that just having that open line of communication, because we can find a common ground and a way to make your idea work in the space that you have if there's a limitation. I
would think too that you're bringing the happy. I mean, yes. you're bringing it pretty good. You're wrapping the things up that you're doing things that they've always dreamed of. I mean, you're putting you're putting a good spin on it and making things really good for them.
We're taking away the stress.
Yeah, taking away the stress and not adding to it. I think in our business, it's a long relationship, right. and there's so many ups and downs through it that there's more of an opportunity for things for people to think maybe they've lost trust, or for people to gain trust, and that's the same with any business, any long-term relationship. You're going to have that. So that's good that you have a lot of good customers.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I think that's one of the unique things about what we're doing is we are getting into every single drawer. We are seeing your underwear. We are seeing everything. And we are doing it within a 2, 3, 4 day span. So we are really getting to know these clients very quickly, but we're also in and out. We're not in their home for, a year, 2 years. So we try to stay out of their hair as much as possible. But we really get to know them very quickly in a very short period of time.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
We don't share. No, I don't really have any crazy stories. I think when I first started the business, I was in over my head thinking that I could help people that weren't quite ready to let go of things. We do not work with people who are on the hoarding scale. We have to have people who are ready to let go of things. Yeah. And so that, at the beginning, I, didn't know that distinction, but now I feel like we know exactly who our client is and who we work best with. And so we figured that out along the way.
That's probably, I've talked to my business coach years ago about you have to have a selling pitch to turn somebody down as much as you have to do to gain their business. And
absolutely.
So that's probably pretty difficult for you to walk into a place and it's a mess. Yeah. And your job in life is to organize, and you probably want to organize that space. But that they have a psychological imbalance that's going to make them not be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. There's different factors there of reasons why we aren't able to help them. And I think, there are jobs that we do turn down. And I think that for us, because we have a large team and we're coming in and making that transition and transformation so quickly, the client has to be ready to let go of things. And so if the decision-making part is hard for them, then it might not be the best client for us. And they might want to work with an organizer who can work one-on-one with them and give them more time than what we have with a big team coming in. So we've really figured out who is the best client for us and how to make their experience great. So we don't have those worst customer stories.
Yeah. I think too, if we tell all of our customers, hey, if for some reason you're sitting at this table and you feel like we don't get along already, like there's something you don't like about me or vice versa, then it's too long of a deal for us to not trust each other in the first 5 minutes that we've met each other. And it's not like you're going to grow on each other. You got to make sure you have that trust with each other and understand what we do. So you brought up a point before, you talking about cabinetry and things. What is inside of a kitchen? It just Rev-A-Shelf. There's so many different companies that make so many cool things for these cabinets. What's the coolest or most helpful organizational thing you've seen inside of a cabinet, or even inside of, like, in California Closets? Those guys have some really cool stuff too.
Yes, they do. I would actually say the opposite. Sometimes I see things that I'm like, oh, never put this in your kitchen. But I think that there are some, so there's some good things. One of the things that we do not love is the pull-out spices next to the stove, because you can't see the spices. We like a spice drawer instead. What I do like, though, is when the utensils are next to the stove. So the little cups for the utensils, something for like cutting boards, and not just one. A lot of times you need two, something for baking pans and for cutting boards. That's something that we often see is like an area where you could use more space. Let's see, what else?
What about the silverware dividers? Are those any good?
So it depends. We always bring silverware organizers and bring our own. I like to do that versus the custom ones because they're more flexible. I can turn that drawer into something else. I can typically fit more if I use the inserts that we buy from Container Store or somewhere like that than if we have a custom insert. So I don't love those. I
don't love them either. Yes. We usually have to cut them down, and which then blows the whole thing out of the water because they were probably made for something specific, and they don't work well.
Right.
What about like when you put the mixer on we have a thing where you put the mixer at. I feel like that's kind of for show a lot of times. It's heavy, but it's not super functional. Also, if you have the newer, like larger mixers, they don't fit on there. And so, just thinking about those little things, I always tell people we can create those customizations with products from Container Store and things like that, if you're looking for areas to save, that would be a place where I would say invest in, a product versus this custom insert, because we can create that same functionality with a different product. You do the same thing on appliances. I mean, do you study this stuff? I mean, or do you just kind of roll with, what so much of what I learn is from what my customers are talking about and what we're talking about with them. But when you get to the appliance store and you open up a refrigerator and I'll tell you that my wife hates our dishwasher and hates our refrigerator. It's a cabinet depth refrigerator.
Yes.
And which is, one of the most expensive things in the world, one of the dumbest things in the world. But it's so hard to organize things inside of those spaces. Yeah. And do you look at those things and go, hey, don't use this refrigerator? Have you ever gotten that deep into it where you were able to tell somebody, hey, don't do that?
We haven't had a client who's asked us to do that yet, but I would love to do that. Yeah. I have a lot of comments for people who design those and make those better functional. But we do come in and organize refrigerators and things, but typically we're coming in after they've already purchased that, and then we're working with whatever they have existing.
How many glass shelves in a refrigerator have you broken by adjusting the shelves?
Never.
None?
No.
Oh my gosh. You must be really good. I broke a bunch of them.
Oh, no.
Because it's painful. I mean, because when you get in there and you have to take them all apart. I don't know if you've ever done that or not, but you have to take all those stickers off, all the styrofoam off. And when our guys don't do their job, I have to go do that stuff. And I've broken a couple of them, and they're expensive.
Yes.
But it's the reason why I'm telling you that or saying that is because, you have certain milk jugs. You have different things that have to be at different heights. And that's a time consuming thing. I don't think people pay much attention to it. I think most people will live with the pain and just keep putting things in different places as opposed to making sure it's organized.
Yes. I will say one of our biggest pet peeves as organizers is the shelf pegs and cabinets that have a top and a bottom.
Yes.
And you have to... Those are the worst. And we're adjusting shelves all day long because we're doing it to whatever the client has. And so just if there's the single peg, much easier.
Yeah, the metal ones.
Yes.
The little, we call them standards. Yeah, those are, that's a good point. But I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday and of course, for safety reasons, the plastic ones that have the over and under on them are supposed to be better than. I don't know. I don't make this stuff
they're a
up.
pain.
But,
Yes.
yeah. So anyway, I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. So how have you done one or two of our houses? One of our houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes and getting you involved earlier in the process.
Absolutely.
Along with our customers. But so if you had to leave here today and you had to give everybody in the world that's listening, which is a lot of people here on the WB Download, one tip for organization, what would it be?
If you're building a home, I would say the tip is to take an inventory of what you have, and go into your design meetings knowing what you have as far as how much Tupperware you have, how many pots and pans do you have, thinking about those things before. And so you're not just looking at what looks pretty. Organizing tip for anyone else, I would say start small. Don't overwhelm yourself. Do not try to organize your entire kitchen in one day. Start with the junk drawer or start with a category of items. I think a lot of times people will get overwhelmed with organizing their closet. Like, how do I go through all of my clothes? And we always tell people, instead of going through all of your clothes at once, go through one category. So find all of your jeans and just go through your jeans that day. Then find all of your t-shirts, go through your t-shirts. When you put things into categories like that and you can see all of your t-shirts together, you could see, okay, I have 6 white t-shirts. Maybe I can pare this down to 2 versus just going through each item and saying, do I want this? Yes. I want this. Yes. And when you look at it as a category, it helps you to narrow down and make those decisions a little bit easier.
Nice. I would say dream small because everybody says dream big all the time. And then when I'm organizing my closet, I look at things and I go, I'm going to wear that someday. I'm probably not going to wear
someday.
it. And if I have, somebody told me one time when they were moving into their new house, he said, if we haven't seen it in 2 years, we're throwing it away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, that's a big step. That's a big step for me.
Yes.
So I would think that as much as you do, there's a huge opportunity for you to invent things and patent things that would be awesome. I mean, do you look at a lot of different things and go, man, we need something like this?
I do. I wish I had more time on my hands.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot
Send
of
me
things.
your thoughts and ideas, and then I'll give you a little bit on the side for it. I'll say, all right, there we go. After I make it big, I won't forget where I came from.
Yes.
Because I think about a lot of things like that. You know, when we're doing things and we need a tool for something or whatever it is, most of the time somebody's already invented it. But I would think that I'm just thinking about when you were talking about the closets. Yeah. I'm a hat person and I love hats, and I've always been in it for the hat. And so I have a million hats and they just sit up there and collect dust. But I think there would be a better way to store it. My son also has that now too. Yeah, it's hereditary.
Yeah, that's the thing about what we do is we see a lot of different products and we test a lot of different products. So it makes it really efficient when we come in to organize versus a client trying to do it on their own, because we know exactly what will work and we know the different options and what's going to be best for them. So,
do you have a trade organization or a trade show that you go to year after year?
No, there's not. I wish that the organizing industry was big enough to have something like that, but it's still a growing industry. But we do a lot of testing products through Container Store and things like that. So yeah,
I know the designers have something that they do. I mean, the kitchen and bath show is usually at the same time as the International Builders Show. Those have a big section for closets and stuff, but not. Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's enough to spend 3 days out there looking at. But I just think about that, man. I mean, you have so much opportunity to create, invent, and have a good mind. So, man, I'm just excited to talk to you today. How do people get a hold of you if they want to do business with you? And how soon in the process should they get a hold of you? Yeah, so simplifyandstyle.com is our website. You can find us on Instagram, Simplify and Style as well. We share a lot of behind the scenes. You can see projects before and afters and kind of what it looks like to work with our team. And for organizing projects, we're typically booking a few weeks out. For moves, let us know as soon as you're moving, because those are usually bigger projects that we have to get on the calendar ahead of time. Yeah, you got to get there soon. So, hey, and also they can check you out here on the WB Download, and also check us out on our social media page, because I think we've got some stuff happening on there. We've got some pictures that Leanne's putting on our blog that are promoting you. So this is Danielle Boerger from Simplify and Style. I'm excited to see what we do moving forward here, to where we're going to take some information and give it to our customers and say, hey, I think you should reach out to her, because you need to think about being organized, and we can start implementing those things in the plans and really topping this thing off. So definitely. Thanks again for taking time out of your day to be here, and thanks for organizing everybody that we're working with, and sounds like a cool job. I enjoyed getting to know you. Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you. Well, there you have it, everybody. That was Danielle Boerger from Simplify in Style. I was intrigued the whole time listening to her talk. I think that she, and we touched on this a little bit, that she could be an inventor, because I imagine all the different organizational things that she has done and has taken part on, that she could say, we could use this, we could use this, we could use this. She did tell me after the podcast that she ended up buying a whole bunch of these crates, is what she called it, but it's a plastic crate that folds over and kind of like finger locks on the top of it, and they break down. You can fold them into flat pieces. She said she bought a whole bunch of those, and she rents those to her customers and able to move, so you don't have to use cardboard boxes and throwing those things away, filling in landfills. And I thought that was brilliant. So I did keep the recording going on a little bit longer afterwards, so because it's always the conversation after the podcast that is a little bit more enlightening. I don't know if people just lighten up because they don't think they're being recorded anymore. But so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, because I was been enlightened, because I didn't know that this existed until a couple jobs ago. And now, I walked out of the recording studio and I walked into Alicia's office and I said, hey, we need to incorporate Danielle sooner rather than later in these processes and give people a free consultation on what they're going to look forward to working with her. I hope you all feel the same way. If you do get a chance to call her, tell her that you heard it on the WB Download. Hey, thank you again, Danielle, for taking time out of your busy day to be here on the WB Download. And thanks for all you do for our customers and your customers. I want to thank the audience once again for tuning in to the WB Download year after year, episode after episode. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but I believe our next guest is going to be no one other than my good friend, Brian Lapthorne. We became friends as we started designing his house, building his house, him and his wife's house, I guess I should say. But we're going to listen to Brian's story, and it's going to be a good, it's good. It's going to be a good story. I don't want to give too much away. Don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download on your favorite podcast service, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, send me an email, wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com, wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com, and check out our website, wielandbuilders.com, to see all the cool houses we're getting ready to build and we're building currently. Hey, everybody, thanks again. I always appreciate everybody tuning in. If you want to be part of this, get a part of this show, reach out to me. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Jeff Wieland here on the WB Download.